Okay, I think we're going to move on to now, yes we are, how national operational guidance can actually be used and applied to operational incidents, and how that translates through to generic areas of operational activity where we draw items of operational guidance together in what we describe as scenarios, the type of guidance you would use in that scenario. You're going to go, because I think they're quite important to the service and to the sector, particularly for the development of standard operational procedures, as well as the video here explaining the sort of principles behind it. Later on, Ian and colleagues are to explain exactly how that works in practice. Thanks, Chris.
Incident guidance, what it is and how to apply it. Operational guidance is what makes us tick. Effectively, efficiently, safely. We already have processes in place for particular incidents, and we rely on operational guidance to ensure we act appropriately. The National Operational Guidance Framework is a groundbreaking resource that focuses on the processes that are in place for the incidents you're likely to attend, the hazards, control measures, and the strategic and tactical actions that relate to them. Let's demonstrate how the National Operational Guidance Framework can be applied to a specific incident. So, we're dealing with a fire in a building. Cars are on fire. A railway line is being affected by the fire. And there are cylinders that could catch fire and explode. We should quickly establish what is happening. We may have information about the building. We should already have working arrangements with the local rail operator on how we work together in circumstances like this. Think about the hazards we're likely to be faced with. We need to carry out a 360-degree survey to identify the hazards. Trains might still be running, and they're close to the fire and cylinders. The fire could spread, and we need to understand what effect the weather could have on the smoke plume and the environment. Identify vehicles and fuel types. We need to evaluate the risks and select safe systems of work and communicate that information. We should stop trains or warn their drivers when crews need to work less than 3 meters from the track. We need to maintain contact with the rail operator. We should ensure the crews are briefed on and equipped for the conditions, and approach the incident cautiously and from upwind. And we'll need to establish cordons to control access to the area. Every incident brings its own set of challenges that we need to deal with safely. The National Operational Guidance Framework helps us identify the activities we have to undertake at different incidents, along with the knowledge and the control measures we define that will combat the hazards we're likely to face and actions required to perform them correctly. We've used this incident as an example. It would not be practical to tell you every hazard you may encounter at every incident. But what we can do is develop scenarios based on generic incident types that demonstrate how national operational guidance may apply. Welcome to a National Operational Guidance Framework resource that ticks every box.
All right, there will, in time, well, as part of the presentations today, tomorrow in actual fact, we're going to talk in more detail about some of the implications of this. We wanted to just flag to you, though, the issues about training. We think that, or we hope that, a lot of the material we've developed and aligned will have a significant impact on training in the service. It will lead to, we hope, quite a significant review of the content of training across the piece, and we'll explain more about what we mean by that tomorrow. Training specifications we've already mentioned, and Faye and her team will pick up tomorrow and explain more to you about how these actually work to ensure that training remains consistent. How that links to professional qualifications. You'll be aware Roy Bishop is going to speak tomorrow morning from the Institution of Fire Engineers. The alignment of IFE exams now in terms of all the operational aspects of the IFE examinations will be based solely on the material accessible from the National Operational Guidance website. So there's to say all of the guidance and all of the supporting material that sits around the guidance that's linked to from the guidance will be the subject and syllabus for professional qualifications in the future. And we'll also be seeking bodies who might be interested in accrediting local training. So if you're designing training or you have training providers who are designing training in accordance with National Operational Guidance and in line with the professional qualifications content, we'll be seeking bodies who might decide to come along, who might volunteer to come along and accredit that training to show that actually and demonstrate on your behalf that you are actually delivering what is required, which will be a commercially interesting thing, I think, for some people. Thanks. Chris? Okay, we're also tomorrow going to talk about operational learning, how we're going to go about actually drawing together all of these different elements from the Joint Emergency Services Interoperability Programme, principles, beg your pardon, from the Chief Fire Officers Association, from the Institution of Fire Engineers, from how we draw together incidents and debriefs. We can explain all this to you tomorrow, incident reports and inquiries, and from health and safety investigations, and how we're going to go about feeding that back into the guidance. We'd very much welcome your view. This is a key part of our legacy, of course. We recognise that hopefully, as a result of this work we're doing now, the guidance will be implemented, it will be used on the ground. We don't expect, because we're realistic, it to be 100% successful all the time, and we recognise that there will be feedback coming back to us about how the guidance should develop, as well as a number of other outcomes as a result of that, and much more about that tomorrow. So, in your pack, you actually have a detailed breakdown of all of the projects that we currently have underway at the moment. And this covers both in terms of project delivery and implementation. We have a number of guidance projects still under development, and I think these are detailed in the handout. We're dealing with tactical guidance and scenarios. That's to say, as long as the policy guidance we've already developed, what are the tactics that should be used by operational commanders and those actually at an incident to implement the guidance. And there are a range of other projects that we've just mentioned, actually, which actually will be in that pack as well. It is in there, guys? Yeah. Thanks. It's that one there, the one with the blue lines at the top and the projects listed underneath. All right? Done. And then we've got the implementation projects, of which this is the sort of one, communication and engagement with yourselves, support to yourselves in delivering this. We've got broader stakeholder engagement going on as well with professional institutions. We work in a number of our projects with wider industry and other areas. And of course, there's the whole issue of making the aspiration of this interlinkable, conformable, searchable library of information available to you so you can actually use it. And therefore the development of our online portal, our website as it stands at the moment, will be developed into an online web portal through which you can search and find the information that you need. Okay, thank you. Okay, another quick word about that then. We are hoping that it will be that by March 2017, we will have the web-based portal in place. It might, again, not be completely populated because some of the guidance projects won't quite be finished by that time, but we'll add those in as and when it comes. But it will be on a database format. As we've discussed in the way we talked about incident guidance and the way that operational scenarios work, it will be possible for you to, with a few clicks, draw together the guidance that's applicable to different scenarios and different incidents, so you can access and use that. And different areas and components of the guidance, I will explain tomorrow, will be more useful to trainers, others more useful to those who are writing standard operating procedures, and we're going to align that to try and make it as easy as we possibly can for you to find what you need and actually facilitate that implementation. We had some feedback that people would like to see an application app developed for smartphones and tablets, etc., to be used. Very comfortable to do that, but I do want to emphasise this point, and it will be emphasised a number of times over the next couple of days. This is national operational guidance. You, as fire and rescue services, your fire authorities are the employing organisations. You are responsible for the health and safety of your staff under the Health and Safety at Work Act, and it is your responsibility to adopt and implement the guidance in tune with your local needs. And I think Chris and colleague are going to talk a little bit about some of the implementation issues there. You must go through a process of adopting this guidance. You can't evade your responsibilities as a fire authority for providing the right policies and procedures and support to your staff. What we are trying to do is make that a much shorter and much more consistent step than it's ever been before, so that we have a series and a suite of national good practice, easily accessible, that you can draw on, that forms the basis and a framework by which our staff can perform competently and safely at operational incidents in a consistent way, which is something I think the Strategy Board has felt has been lacking for some time. Thanks, Chris. Okay, I think that's me, and I think questions are going to be later on in a plenary session. By the way, on questions, please, when we get to plenary sessions and question sessions, obviously we will welcome them. If anyone is a bit shy about asking a question, you'll see there are pads on the table. Please feel free to jot down questions as we go through. If we don't answer them at some point, put them down on a piece of paper, pass them to a member of the team, and in plenary sessions or at some stage, we will actually answer any questions that you may have. Now, I think I'll pass back to Andy, who's going to pass across to Faye to talk a little bit about that hazardous materials area that we spoke about earlier on. Thank you very much indeed.